happened was the FBI notified me. They gave me a call that they felt like somebody found out where I was living. And that really upset me. And they threw out this fella's named James Leonard. And I said, who is he? They said he's a lawyer from Atlantic City. He represents Joey Merlino, and he represents your cousin Nicky, and we think he knows where you're at. And he goes and visits Joey Merlino in prison. He visits your cousin Nicky, and we feel like he's telling them where you're at. I said, well, why? I said, why? I said, it doesn't make sense. I mean, number one, how did he find out? Why would he want to get involved with me? I said, well, let me see if I can see this guy somewhere. So anyway, I meet him. I run into him at the night from Fort. He didn't know I was coming. And he was sitting at the bar, and I walked up to him. And when he looked at me, he got a little shocked, like he knew it was me right away. And I said, listen, I'm just here. I want to talk to you. I want to ask you a few questions. I mean, well, like, what's going on here? The feds are telling me you know where I'm at. You're telling everybody where I live. You're trying to get me killed. You're trying to get my family killed. And he, you know, he was really good. He was really good about it. He made me feel good the way he talked. He said, look, Phil, no, there's no way. Number one, I know where you live, and there's no way I want to get involved with you. I mean, I don't know what they're talking about, you know? He looked scared, because I told him, I said, do you know why I'm here? I was really upset when I first got there, but he, like, lightened the load for me, because he says, I didn't think you were here for the food, you know? Made me feel a little better. Like, you know, he wasn't worried about anything. It made me feel like, you know, like he wasn't doing anything wrong. I think Joey Merlino, he's a low-level mug or a thug, and I think he's the guy to set this hit up with this Nicodemo kid, this DePietro guy they killed. I think he's a money-hungry scoundrel that I think that he would want Joe Legambi and all those guys to lose the case just so he can wind up with all their cash and not have to worry about them anymore.
Hey, what's up, guys? I want to take a minute to thank the sponsor of today's video, Aura. Many of you know that doxing is a huge problem on social media, with one party revealing private information like names and addresses of another party, in some cases even targeting their family members, all with the intent to harass and intimidate. Thankfully, there's a way to fight back with Aura. Aura automatically scans the web for any mention of your private information, and if any is detected, Aura sends a removal request on your behalf to keep your identity safe. Aura provides this and much more for only $12 a month. Compare that to what it will cost you if your identity is stolen. The best part is you can try Aura for free for 14 days by clicking my link in the description. You won't regret it. Now let's get into the video.
What I find, you know, people ask me, you know, what the root of my interest in this stuff, and when I started researching it, reporting on it, and a lot of people assume that it's the blood and guts, and to me, that's all really secondary. My primary interest is how these organizations operate and how power flows and how decisions are made and how political alliances. Now, a lot of times the results of these machinations is violence, and you can't ignore that. But to me, when I was able to interview some of the participants in this war of the 1990s, specifically Ralph Natale, who I spent about 6 months with working on a book proposal. I ended up leaving the book, and Larry McShane ended up placing me because I couldn't come to terms with some of the stuff we were writing. But getting some insight from him, as well as some other guys that I was able to talk to, the belief that Chicky Ciancaglini and Chucky Merlino were Scarfo guys whose kids were in the middle of all the conflict, but between the Stanford Merlino groups. So, but I think at the time there was this narrative that was emerging that besides Ralph, Joey and Mikey Chang had the support of Chucky Merlino and Chicky Chang. And that's not what I've been told by multiple people. That, not to say that Chucky Merlino and Chicky were backing Stanford, they weren't doing that either. They were sending word to the street to stand down. And there's no reason in the case of the Ciccolinis, for two brothers to end up on opposite sides of this thing trying to kill each other, and at the end of the day, one of them was killed and the other one was maimed. And I'm sure there are ripple effects within the Ciccolini family that are still being felt today, 30 years later. And I think when you're looking at the dichotomy of that of the organization at that point and how it was evolving, you had both Joey, again, when you're looking at this from socio-academically and you're analyzing it like you would a corporate merger, you have a situation where you have two people, one a 60-year-old looking for his glory, finally a chance to ascend to a level that he views himself deserved of, that spending 15 years in the joint, in Ralph Natale. And then you have this young up and coming swaggering aspiring mob boss in Joey Merlino. They both are trying to play each other in a way. It's like a game of chess that they're playing with each other. Joey trying to use Ralph to leverage himself forward, and Ralph trying to use Joey to leverage himself forward. And it was a game of chess that Joey ended up winning, and winning decidedly. At the end of the day, Joey gamed the game and had Ralph wrapped around his finger and was really the puppet master, not the puppet.
Philip Leonetti. He admits to 10 murders, and in 1989 became the highest-ranking mobster ever to give chapter and verse on all the mob's dirty deals. It was the most stunning betrayal the mob had ever known, but an even bigger blow to his own family, because Leonetti was a third-generation hitman and gangster, born into the life. Now he's marked for death.
Phil believes that Joey was actively hunting him. I think there is definitely seeds of truth to that, if not fully full-blown truth. But there's also part of me that thinks, and this isn't to say that Joey didn't have people, quote unquote, working on the situation, but the other part of me thinks, especially at that point in time, if Joey and those guys really wanted to put a concerted effort into tracking Leonetti, who at the time was, he was being cautious, but it leaked out. People knew he was coming back into town to see his mom and see his cousin. He had a couple meetings with Nicky Jr. Yes, I do think there were people that were working on it, and if they saw Leonetti, they would have done something. But the other part of me thinks, and they could both be true. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. That if Joey and the guys that were running Philly in 95, 96, 97, really wanted to track and kill Leonetti, knowing that he was coming back in town, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about a Phil Leonetti who wrote Mafia Prince with me. He would have been, dead in the street in 96, 97, 98.